What happens when Henry Rollins crashes into the unpredictable madness of Tom Green? Henry Rollins steps into the raw electric atmosphere of Tom Green, live with the kind of presence that instantly changes the temperature of the room. The lights feel sharper, the air heavier, the conversation already humming before a single word is exchanged. Henry Rollins is not just a guest, he is an energy source, a restless mind wrapped in discipline and fire, and the moment he sits across from Tom Green, you can sense that this will not be a safe, predictable interview. This will be sharp, unfiltered, unpredictable, and completely alive. Tom Green leans forward with that mischievous grin, the grin that says anything can happen, and Henry answers it with a calm intensity that feels like a coiled spring waiting for the right moment to explode into insight. The chemistry is immediate, two fearless personalities meeting in a space built for risk and authenticity. Henry Rollins begins by talking about movement, about never standing still, about the philosophy that has driven him from punk rock stages to spoken word tours across continents. His voice carries weight, not because it is loud, but because it is deliberate. Every sentence sounds like it has been earned through miles traveled, books devoured, and nights spent alone thinking deeply about the world. Tom Green nudges him with humor, light jabs that open the door for stories, and Henry walks through that door with vivid detail. He describes life on the road, the strange beauty of airport terminals at midnight, the discipline of writing every single day, and the hunger that never fades. Viewers feel like they are sitting inches away from a conversation that matters. The talk shifts toward music, toward the raw chaos of performing in front of crowds that are ready to erupt. Henry speaks about intensity not as aggression but as commitment. He explains how stepping on stage is not about ego, it is about honesty. Tom Green listens closely, occasionally laughing, occasionally stunned, and the audience can sense that this is not rehearsed. There is something magnetic about hearing Henry reflect on the early days of punk, the sweat-soaked venues, the bruises, the belief that art should shake people awake. He talks about channeling anger into creation rather than destruction, about turning confusion into lyrics and discipline into survival. The words land heavy, but they are also inspiring. Tom Green pushes the conversation into unexpected territory, asking about fear, about vulnerability, about whether someone known for such intensity ever doubts himself. Henry pauses, and that pause alone keeps viewers hooked. He admits that doubt is constant, that fear is always present, but that the difference lies in how you confront it. He describes walking toward the things that scare him, not away from them. He talks about stepping into uncomfortable conversations, traveling to unfamiliar countries, reading books that challenge his beliefs. The atmosphere becomes almost electric. With sincerity, there is no performance here, just truth delivered with force. The conversation drifts into comedy and absurdity, because with Tom Green, nothing stays serious for too long. Henry surprises everyone by laughing deeply, fully, revealing a lighter side that contrasts beautifully with his reputation. He shares strange stories from tours, moments that were so bizarre they felt scripted, encounters with fans that were heartfelt and occasionally hilarious. Tom plays off these stories, adding his own unpredictable flavor. And the studio feels like a living organism responding to every exchange. The balance between intensity and humor creates a rhythm that keeps viewers locked in. Henry then speaks about discipline, about waking up early, about writing even when inspiration feels distant. He describes creativity not as magic, but as labor, as showing up every single day whether you feel brilliant or exhausted. His words cut through excuses. He challenges the idea that talent alone is enough. He insists that consistency is the real superpower. Tom nods, clearly impressed, and asks about burnout. Henry answers with honesty, explaining that rest is necessary, but complacency is dangerous. The viewers are not just entertained, they are being pushed to think, to question their own habits. As the first half of the conversation deepens, Henry reflects on aging, on how perspective shifts over time. He talks about losing friends, about witnessing change, about understanding that time is the only currency that truly matters. There is gravity in his tone, but also gratitude. He speaks about staying curious, about refusing to become bitter. Tom listens with unexpected stillness, allowing the weight of those reflections to settle. The room feels quieter, more focused, as if everyone senses that this is the core of the conversation. The energy resides again when Tom throws in a wild hypothetical scenario, something absurd and chaotic, and Henry responds with thoughtful humor that blends philosophy with sarcasm. The exchange is fast, witty, and completely unscripted. Viewers can feel the spontaneity. This is not a polished promotional interview. It is a collision of minds. Henry challenges Tom, Tom challenges Henry, and the tension is creative rather than hostile. It is a reminder that real conversations require risk. As the first part closes, Henry leans back slightly, but his intensity never fades. He speaks about responsibility, about using a platform wisely, about speaking truth even when it is uncomfortable. He emphasizes that silence can be complicity, that artists have power, and therefore, obligation. Tom thanks him for the honesty, and there is a brief moment of mutual respect that feels genuine. The audience is left energized, inspired, and curious about what the next half will bring, because the conversation has only scratched the surface of Henry Rollins as a thinker, performer, and relentless force of nature. Henry Rollins returns to the center of the conversation with even sharper focus, as if the first half was only the warm-up. Tom Green senses it and leans into the momentum, asking about the deeper layers behind the public persona. Henry explains that intensity is not a costume he puts on. It is a reflection of how seriously he takes time, opportunity, and the responsibility to be fully awake in a distracted world. He speaks about silence, about spending long stretches, alone reading and writing, about finding clarity away from noise. The vulnerability in his tone adds depth, and viewers feel trusted rather than entertained. The dialogue shifts toward cultural change, toward how media and attention spans have evolved. Henry reflects on the speed of modern life, the constant scrolling, the temptation to react instantly rather than think critically. He admits that he worries about distraction becoming the default state of humanity. Tom counters with humor, joking about viral chaos and online absurdity. But beneath the laughter, there is a shared awareness that the world has become louder and faster. Henry encourages slowing down, digging deeper, refusing to be manipulated by outrage cycles. His words resonate with power. Tom asks about anger, a theme often associated with Henry's earlier years. Henry responds with nuance, explaining that anger can be fuel, but it must be directed carefully. He describes learning to transform rage into productivity, to channel it into writing, performance, and activism rather than letting it consume him. He speaks about growth, about recognizing that intensity without wisdom can become destructive. The honesty is gripping. Viewers witnessed evolution in real time, a man reflecting on his younger self, without shame but with clarity. The conversation becomes more personal as Henry discusses loss, resilience, and the reality of living with purpose in a world that often feels chaotic. He talks about friends who are no longer here, about lessons learned from hardship, about the importance of gratitude. Tom's usually playful demeanor softens, allowing space for these reflections. The studio atmosphere grows intimate, almost cinematic. It feels less like a show and more like a late-night conversation between two people determined to understand life honestly. Energy spikes again when Tom introduces rapid-fire questions, unexpected prompts designed to shake the rhythm. Henry responds swiftly, sometimes philosophical, sometimes sarcastic, always authentic. The contrast between Tom's unpredictability and Henry's disciplined thought process creates dynamic tension that keeps viewers glued to the screen. There are bursts of laughter followed by sharp insights. There are moments of absurd humor followed by quiet contemplation. The unpredictability becomes addictive. Henry then speaks directly about creativity in the digital age, about how artists must adapt without losing integrity. He emphasizes ownership of voice, the importance of resisting trends that dilute authenticity. He encourages creators to read more, travel more, listen more. He insists that depth cannot be faked. Tom nods, acknowledging the grind of staying relevant while staying real. Their mutual respect becomes evident, not through flattery, but through engagement. As the second part builds toward its climax, Henry delivers a powerful reflection on mortality and urgency. He says that tomorrow is never guaranteed, that waiting for the perfect moment is a trap. He urges viewers to act now, to write the book, start the project, make the call. His voice carries urgency, but also hope. It is not fear-driven, it is purpose-driven. Tom responds by thanking him for the fire, for the reminder that complacency is the real enemy. The final exchange is both humorous and profound. Tom asks one last unpredictable question, and Henry answers with a story that blends absurdity, wisdom, and self-awareness. The audience laughs, but they also feel the